Hi, my name is Laura, and welcome to my very first knitting podcast. Hi, welcome. My name is Laura of Laura's Lovely Knitting, and this is my very first knitting podcast. Lately, I have been absolutely loving knitting podcasts, and so I thought it was time that I should maybe start my own. So thank you so much if you're joining me. Please bear with me as I get used to this because I have never done this before, but I very much hope you enjoy. So this is going to follow a very normal knitting podcast flow. I'm going to start with my finished objects from the last couple weeks, then talk about my works in progress, and then I'll talk about some knitty acquisitions, and then I'll do a little bit of chat at the end, where I'll talk a little bit about how I got into knitting, when I got into knitting, and things like that. So to start off, let's talk about finished objects from the last little while. So my very first finished object from recently is this adorable pair of fingerless gloves that I knit for a friend. I know it's only like September, but I really hate the December Christmas present rush. So I am starting my Christmas present knitting in September. I actually started it in August. But this is my latest Christmas present that I've done. I didn't use a pattern for this. I made the pattern up as I went, so who knows, maybe I'll publish it someday. I really enjoyed knitting it. It was absolutely fantastic. These are knit with Rose Hill Yarns. They are a yarn company in Canada that hand dye their yarns. I don't remember the colorway because I've had these for a long time. And I actually also don't remember what size needles I knit these on because it's been a little while and I didn't write it down. Either way, I really love how these turned out. I really hope my friend does too. They're not blocked yet, so I will do that at some point because it's only September and I don't have to give these until December. But yeah, so that's my very first finished object. My second finished object is a teeny tiny preemie hat. Now, I am part of a club that knits hats for preemies in the NICU, and I was having trouble finding a pattern that I liked and one that we could use that's really easy in the club, especially if people don't know how to knit. So I came up with my own little pattern. I used the standards from Lion Yarn for like the size of a preemie's head. I think it turned out really well. I might play around with the pattern a little bit. This yarn is the fingering weight yarn from Little Wing Fibers. I absolutely love Little Wing Fibers. Please go check out her company. The yarn colors are absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh. I am part of her yarn club this year, so each month I get a different skein of yarn dyed after the colors of the sky, and this is one of the club yarns. I think this was April? I'm not sure. I will look into that and then put it in the description. But all of the yarns have just been absolutely beautiful, and I think it just makes the most adorable little preemie hat ever. Yeah. So my next whip my next finished object is a bit of a complicated one. So this is the Sugar Boo Bralette by Kadri. I started this at some point in lockdown, so like 2 years ago, with scraps that I had left over from socks that I had made. So this is the Lily & Pine fingering weight yarn in ballet slippers and pink mohair from Yarn Twisters, which is a local yarn store in Calgary, Alberta. The pattern is super easy. I didn't have any issues following it. I really enjoyed knitting it. I just put it down at one point and didn't want to come back to it. So I picked it up recently and I was finishing off the ribbing, and I noticed as I was binding off that there's one purl stitch in the middle of the ribbing where there should be a knit stitch. I'll do a little cutaway so that you can see what I mean up close. And normally I'm the kind of person who likes little mistakes in hand knits because it gives them character, like they are handmade. But this is just like right in the middle and it bothers me, and I don't have the desire or the patience to rip back and re-knit that. I also wish that I'd knit the rib longer, but I was running out of yarn, so it doesn't sit perfectly on my body because of that. So I just, Yeah, I'm thinking of just reknitting this pattern with a different yarn. Oh, I'm so sorry, my cat just bonked the tripod. Maeve! Maeve! Can you stop that? Thank you. Now the other thing is I was getting impatient finishing up this project, so I knit the straps without measuring because I was like, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be totally fine. It was not fine. And the straps were far too short, so I ripped them back, measured properly how long I wanted the straps to be, and reknit the straps, and realized as I finished that I had knit the straps wrong. So this is the front of the bralette, and this is how I knit the straps. Oh, Maeve! Stop bonking the camera! Sorry about that. I do not have the patience to... Maeve, get out of there. Maeve, move. Cats. Anyway, I don't have the patience right now to rip these straps back for the second time and retry this. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna do with this yet. I'm tempted to just, like I said, reknit the pattern with yarn that I know I have more of so that I can knit the rib at the bottom to be the size that I'd like it to be and correctly knit the straps this time. The cool thing about this project was I learned how to do I-cord straps though. I didn't know how to do that before. Super easy, super fun, and I really, really love the way that they turned out. I think they look really, really nice, really clean, very classy. I'm a big fan. And that is it for my finished objects for the last couple weeks. On to whips. Okay, so the one that I have been probably working on the most the last couple days is the mini mock neck tank by Jessie Made Designs. I absolutely love this. I saw this and was like, I have to cast this on at some point. I was just waiting for the perfect yarn. Now you're probably wondering, Laura, why on earth are you casting on a summer project in the middle of September? I am a Canadian living in SoCal, so it is literally always summertime to me here. So I thought this would be a good time to cast this on because, you know, it's still really, really hot here. And it will remain really, really hot here to me all year long. So I can't wait to wear this. I am knitting the size 3X because I had trouble getting gauge. So normally I would be a 2X, but I had trouble getting gauge and I'm using a superwash yarn. So I went up a size and am just hoping that this fits properly. We will see when I block it. I did block the swatch, but still I have no idea if this is gonna work or not. Honestly, if I have to rip this out and retry and knit it in a different size, that's totally fine. I would be happy to do that because this project has just been a joy to knit. I've absolutely loved it. It's been fantastic. And the pattern's been super easy to follow, so highly recommend if you're looking for a little tank top. This yarn is another Little Wing Fibers club yarn. This is the July club yarn in Bubblegum Skies. I got 2 skeins of it, and when I opened it, I was just floored because it is the most beautiful pink I have ever seen in my life. Pink is hands down my favorite color, so I was just so happy when I opened this, and I think it's gonna make the most adorable mini mock neck tank ever. I cannot wait. My next whip is the Sophie Shall. I am absolutely loving this, and I have been wildly surprised by how much brain power it takes to make a garter stitch shawl, because I kept messing up and doing the increases on the wrong sides because I was just like losing track, which was super weird because it's just garter stitch and you're just going back and forth, but it's been a lot of fun. This is definitely one that I like to do while I have like Only Murders in the Building on TV or something like that and watching it with my boyfriend. I'm knitting this in Sandnes garn alpaca wool in the color Acorn. It is so soft and so squishy. It is one of the yarns that the pattern does recommend. I think this is the first time I have ever knit a pattern with the recommended yarn. I didn't really have easy access to Sandnes garn when I lived in Canada. So once I moved here to the US, I'm an international student because I'm currently doing a PhD down here. So when I moved here, I was like, I'm gonna spend the next 6 years taking advantage of my accessibility for this yarn because it makes me so happy. It is so soft and so squishy. I'm already debating doing this in another color because I love it so much. I will probably not get the chance to wear this until I go home for Christmas in the winter because I think it would be too hot, but who knows? My office temperature fluctuates between freezing cold and too hot to live in. So who knows, maybe on one of the freezing cold days I'll get to use this. I just finished the halfway point, so now I'm on the decreases, and I can't wait. It's turning out to be a lovely size. I can't wait to block it and see because it stretches like so much. Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic so far. My next whip is my Sarin sweater by Kadri. Oh, one of my double pointed needles is poking out. My Sarin sweater by Kadri. Now I'm absolutely loving this one. I've been working on it for a couple months now. The sleeve increases were a bit of a slog, not because there's anything with the pattern. I've never done a raglan increase before. I'm very used to doing drop shoulder sweaters, so getting used to the raglan was kind of a slog. But now that I've split for the sleeves, things are going far faster and I'm enjoying it a lot more. I basically just finished off a ball that I had for the body that I was working on, and now I'm gonna work on the sleeves because I think I'd rather have the sleeves done first so that in the unlikely event that I run out of yarn, I'd rather have like longer sleeves. What is my cat doing? Anyway, I'd rather have the sleeves be the proper length and the body maybe be a little bit shorter than like shorter sleeves but a longer body. So I'm doing the sleeves. It's going really well so far. This yarn is the non-superwash DK by the Yarn Addict Co. in the color Misty Morning, Misty Mountain. One of the two of them. I'll put the correct one in the description box below. I absolutely love it. It is super soft for a non-superwash. It has just been an absolute joy to knit with. I pre-ordered this yarn in 2022 and it arrived very quickly as soon as she was done dyeing, and I immediately cast on this project because it's just the perfect color. Exactly my favorite shade of like celadon, greenish. It's just incredible. I'm so excited to wear this. Again, this is another project that I probably won't get to wear until I go home for Christmas. And I'm in like the negative 20s, 30s, but totally worth it. It's absolutely fantastic. I have enjoyed every moment of this so far, except for the raglan. That was a slog. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention in regards to this project is the little project bag that I have it in, because I absolutely love this project bag so much. This is by Sweet Acorn Creations. There are a whole bunch of pockets on the outside in different sizes, and there's a little drawstring so that you can pull it together, and there's this little notion holder, stitch marker holder. I'll do a little cutaway so that you can see. Just absolutely amazing. It fits 12 skeins of yarn, so I have had absolutely no issue holding my projects and my big fluffy sweaters in this bag. I just love it so much. All of their project bags are great. I actually have another one as well, but this is my newest and currently my absolute favorite. So if you're looking for a project bag, I highly recommend this one. My final whip is a pair of mittens that I'm working on for my best friend for Christmas. I picked up this yarn when I was in the Netherlands. It is a superwash alpaca. I was originally going to make socks with it, but thought it would just be absolutely stunning mittens for her. And I started working on the mittens, and it's coming out really soft and really beautiful. And I'm creating this pattern myself. So what I wanted is a little cable going up the back side of the hand. And I started knitting this up, and the details of the cable are not showing up. They're not coming through on this yarn. The stitch definition isn't super great. So you're just not seeing the cable as much as I want to. I'm thinking of ripping this back and saving the yarn for something else. I still think they'd make really nice socks, or even like simple mittens, like maybe mittens without a cable detail or anything like that, because I really, really, really want to feature that cable. It's like the highlight of this design. So what I'm thinking is of using this yarn. This is the Explorer Knits and Fibers something. I've had this for a long time. And I don't have the ball band because I caked it so long ago and then tried to make another project with it and frogged it. So all I know is that this is from Explorer Knits and Fibers, and I picked it up at Stash Lounge in Calgary, Alberta. I think this would be much better for the project. I think this is a bit more her color as well, and the stitch definition with this yarn is beautiful, so you'll be able to see the cable a little bit better. So I think I'm gonna do that, but if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on whether I should keep doing it with the gray alpaca or whether I should switch to this more camel color by Explorer Knits and Fibers. I think that is it in terms of my current whips. So moving on to knitty acquisitions. So the end of August was my birthday, so I did some knitty shopping, and I had a lot of fun. So my very first acquisition was a couple of different double pointed needles. So while I was working on the gray alpaca mittens, I was really struggling with wooden needles. Now I don't normally knit with metal needles because I find them kind of cold. I've always just preferred the way that wood feels in my hands to the way that metal feels when I'm knitting. And I have a set of metal double pointed needles from Knit Picks, so I switched over to using those, and I found that it worked much better with the yarn, but those needles were very, very heavy, and the yarn was so light, and the needle would like fall out and like leave the stitches. So I decided to see what else is out there in terms of metal needles, and I picked up these two. So this is the Knitter's Pride Zing, and this is the Knitter's Pride Carbons. So these ones actually have, like, again, I'll do a cutaway, like a carbon body and then like a metal tip. Whereas these are solid metal with just a little colored body. So far, so I've tried both. So far, I prefer the Zing, which surprises me. I was definitely expecting to like the carbons a little bit more because I was expecting them obviously to not be as cold as like metal needles would be. But what I don't like about the carbons is that there's this little like join where the carbon and the metal meet. And when I'm knitting, I feel the join. So it's not as smooth of a process as I generally like my knitting to be. I am really loving the Zing needles. I find them to be very light, very smooth. They have been absolutely fantastic. I've loved every minute knitting with them, which I never ever thought I would say about knitting with metal needles. I absolutely plan on using these again in the future because they are just absolutely wonderful. And the last one I got were these pink ones. I absolutely love pink, as I mentioned. I'm also a huge fan of Licca needles. I have a couple of their other double pointed needles because sock knitting is my thing. So I have a couple pairs of like the 2.5 millimeters, 2.75 millimeters, and 2 millimeter needles because I'm constantly knitting socks. So I picked up the pink ones because they were just fantastic. I love pink. They make me so happy. I cannot wait to use these on my next pair of socks. The other thing I got recently was the Little Wing Fibers August Club, which is in the color Sherbet Sunset. I don't normally like orange or yellow, so I was really surprised when I got this by how much I enjoyed the color. I don't think it's something that I'm going to keep for myself. What I'm thinking is of holding it together with one of my other acquisitions, which is the Rowan Kid Silk Haze in the color Watermelon. Oh, the little tag is coming off. The Rowan Kid Silk Haze in the color Watermelon. I'm thinking of holding these together and knitting a pair of mittens for my friend for Christmas. These are definitely her colors, so I think she'd really like them. I'm not generally a big fan of mohair. I just don't love the halo that it gives. I generally prefer knitting without it, but mohair is super warm and where I am from is super cold. So I think this would be a good combination for her. And I think the colors would be like so cute and happy. And the watermelon really pulls out some of the like pink in the sherbet sunset. So I think it would be absolutely adorable, and I will keep you updated on how this pair goes. I'll hopefully talk about it in my next podcast. Now, when I ordered the Rowan Kid Silk Haze, I also ordered a couple different colors of Sandnes Garn Double Sunday. Now, I am intending to knit Laura Penrose's sibling sweater when it comes out in October, which I am so incredibly excited for. I am absolutely obsessed with her podcasts. I have watched every video she has put on YouTube, and I'm one of her Patreon members because her videos are just so lovely. I love watching them. She's so sweet. Her patterns are absolutely beautiful. So I am thinking about what colors I want to knit the sibling sweater in. So I know that I want to use the whipped cream color, which is the Double Sunday collab with Petiteknit. And now I'm trying to figure out what stripe color I want for the pattern. So I picked up this, which is a very, very dark navy blue. This is the Sailor at Midnight Petiteknit color as well. Now I'm a fan of this, but I think I'd want, if I were to do navy and white, to have the navy stripes be a little bit thinner than they are on the sibling sweater. And do kind of more of the like nautical French vibes. So I don't think I'm going to use this for the sibling sweater. I have also thought about using this color. Now this is actually one that I had prior. I didn't order this recently. But I just don't think this is my color. I think my skin is like too pink, too red for this. But I love this, so I think I'm going to turn this into socks or mittens. Probably socks. So because I really like camel colors, I picked up one that's slightly more pink. One that I think kind of goes a little bit better with my skin tone, but I worry that it's actually too close to my skin color. I don't think I could do an entire sweater out of this color because I think it would look like I'm naked. I think it would look kind of cute in stripes though. I haven't decided. This one is definitely on the table. But I have another pairing that I like even more that I'll show you in a second. So again, if I don't use this in the sweater, I think I'll turn this into mittens. Maybe a Sophie scarf. That could be really cute. So this is the light sage green color, I think. I don't think it says on here. It does not. I think this is the light sage green color. This combination is also beautiful. I'm a huge fan of green, as you may have noticed from the color of my sarin sweater. But the problem with this is I think it's a little bit too close to the color of my sarin sweater. I think I'd like a little bit more contrast in the colors of sweaters that I have. This I think would make the most adorable pair of socks ever, or like a little hat or something to keep you warm in the winter. I also think it'd make a beautiful sarin sweater. Maybe I'll make like the baby version of a sarin sweater out of this. Yeah, I think I'm totally gonna do that. Hi, editing Laura here. I totally meant sibling sweater, not sarin sweater here. Sorry about that. I think that would be absolutely adorable. But I don't think I'm gonna do this pairing for myself. I have a dusty rose-ish color as well. Similar to the other one that I have over here, just a little bit darker. I do also think this is maybe a little bit too close to my skin tone to make as a whole sweater. Could be cute in stripes, but I think I'd rather have like mittens in this color, or socks in this color, or a scarf, or a shawl. Ooh, maybe I'll do a shawl in this color. I could do another Sophie Shall. That would be really cute. So I don't think I'm gonna do this one either. I have a light blue. Again, I also really love this. This is absolutely on the table. My boyfriend also really likes this combination, so I am definitely strongly considering it. I will absolutely use this in a sweater at some point. I think it is just a stunning light blue. I'd be really interested in doing maybe like a camisole too in this kind of color. We'll see if I like wool camisoles or wool tank tops, because my mini mock neck tank is the first one I've ever made. Except for the Sugar Boo bralette, which, as I mentioned, I don't wear. So maybe I'll make a camisole out of this. We shall see. Now, finally, the one that I think I'm going to do is whipped cream and the dusty olive green. I absolutely love this. This is also my boyfriend's favorite pairing too. I think it's just stunning. I love olive green. I think it is beautiful. I love the warmth that it gives. I think it looks really nice next to my skin because my skin is really pink, and I have olive undertones. So I think this is what I'm gonna do. I also love that it's a little bit higher contrast than maybe like a lighter one. So instead of having like the light green and the like cream color, you have like kind of a medium green and a light color. It'll make the stripes stand out just a little bit more. And it's different enough from my Sarin sweater. And I actually have another green knit sweater. I did the My Dear sweater a couple years ago as the very first sweater I ever knit, which is also green, but a very different kind of green. I'm just gonna end up with like a ton of green sweaters. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So I think this is going to be the color combination that I go with for the sibling sweater, but let me know in the comments what you think. I would love to hear your opinions. Now finally, the last acquisition that I have made over the last couple weeks, and I've already kicked this up, I kicked it up last night because I'm far too excited, was a bunch of mini skeins from Potion and Pearl, which is an adorable hand dyer that makes just the cutest color combinations ever. I absolutely love this one. I'll do a little cutaway so that you can see them kind of up close. But there's a little bit of stellina gold, so they do shimmer a little bit. I have never knit with yarn with stellina in it before, and I'm obsessed. I think it's just the cutest thing ever. And I intend these to be part of a Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. I saw the pattern and thought it was absolutely adorable, and I have a bunch of scraps. And then I saw these minis and I thought all the colors went really well together with the minis and my scraps. So that's gonna be the next project I think I cast on, because I'm so excited. I think these are so cute and I can't wait to see how they look knit up. I have one final knitting acquisition that I made at the end of August. As a little birthday present to myself, I got a little yarn bowl from Sugar Bee Pottery in Colorado. It is handmade and there's little tiny hand-painted sheep on it, which I absolutely love. I think it's so cute and it's beautifully glazed, and it is the perfect size for a cake of yarn. I don't have a full-size cake in front of me, but if I put the like half-used Bubblegum Skies cake in here, it's the perfect size. So this sits on my desk all day and I just pop whatever cake of yarn I'm knitting from in it while I'm doing work at my desk. And it is just absolutely fantastic. I love the way it feels. I love how heavy it is. It's just one of my favorites. I have a couple knitting bowls. This is my smallest. I wanted something just for one single cake of yarn, and this absolutely exceeded my expectations. I love it so much and it makes me so happy. Hopefully I can get another one from her someday. So I think that's it for my acquisitions, which means it's time for a little bit of knitty chat. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about here, since this is my very first podcast, is how I got into knitting. I started knitting at about the age of 5, I think, maybe 6. I was so young when I started knitting that I don't remember learning how to knit. My mom and my nana were both big knitters and knit a ton throughout my childhood. So I picked it up from them. It was mostly my mom who taught me in the end because my nana was a left-handed knitter and I was too young to figure out how to reverse it so that I could do it because I'm a right-handed knitter. So it was mostly my mom, who's a right-handed knitter, who taught me how to knit, but obviously both of them played a big role in me learning how to knit. I've knit on and off since then. I knit a couple projects when I was younger, like I knit little toys for my cousins and stuff like that. I learned how to knit mittens, I knit a scarf. I knit a sweater at one point towards kind of the end of my undergrad time, but I didn't really start getting into knitting like I am now until lockdown. So I've always had yarn around, always been knitting on and off, but once lockdown hit, I was like, this is my hobby. I love this so much. It was a really great way to focus and relax and be mindful and create in a beautiful artistic way. And because I had a lot of free time during the pandemic, well, not really free time, I was doing my master's during lockdown. And if you've ever been to grad school, you know that you won't really have free time at all. But what little free time I did have during lockdown went into knitting. It was around that time that I also started designing patterns. One of the things that I had knit starting from a very young age was socks, and I absolutely love knitting socks. I can now knit socks without a pattern because I've knit far too many pairs in my life. But during the pandemic, I decided to start designing and selling sock patterns. You can find my patterns on Ravelry. At the moment, they're all free, so please check them out if you'd like. I'd love feedback. I'd love to see the projects that you make with them. Please do tag me in them if you do, because I love seeing that. It makes me so happy. And I fully intend to continue doing so, continue releasing sock patterns. Hopefully I can branch into other kinds of patterns at some point too. I would love to do sweater patterns, but sweater pattern creating and specifically the grading of sweater patterns terrifies me. I find grading for sock patterns to be totally fine. Like I can do all of that math, no problem, but sweaters scare me. Sweaters scare me. I think the other thing I wanted to mention is kind of a little fun fact about myself. So I'm a PhD student at the moment. I'm studying linguistics. And I bring my knitting with me literally everywhere I go now because it's a really great thing to do while you're sitting in like seminars or lectures and need something to do with your hands. I am someone who gets distracted very easily and need to be playing with something in my hands to stay focused. So having my knitting during seminars or during lectures is a really great way for me to focus. Yeah. I'm a linguist. I study ancient languages. It's a lot of fun. It's chaos. Living in LA has been a wild time, but I'm absolutely loving it so far. And it has definitely taught me to branch out in my knitting because I can no longer knit big, thick, woolly sweaters because there's no point. I won't wear them. So I've definitely become a far more adventurous knitter since moving here, and I've really enjoyed it. If you have made it this far in my podcast, thank you so incredibly much. It means the world to me. Let me know what you're currently working on, currently knitting in the comments. I would absolutely love to hear. I'd love to check out some new patterns. So yes, please let me know. And thank you so much for watching. I wish you the best of luck with all your knitting and hope to see you again soon. Bye.